No, I'm afraid my mum is in my heart. So I'm sorry, I'm not with your theme tonight.
That's fine.
But here's a few. In the eye of a storm there is a stillness where I can hear your heart beating loud. Grasping for blood, my ears bleed from the daggers of your words. You catch your breath, red raw from the screaming in the eye of a storm. There is a stillness where boxers wait. John Agard, that wonderful poet, had a lovely saying, human breath is a dangerous weapon. Human breath is a dangerous weapon. In, out, out, in, out, out. Human breath can whisper, talk, shout, puff, blow, gasp, scream, pant, die, inhale, exhale, breathe life, breathe death, exclaim surprise. Silence. Human breath can share life, share death, fill lungs, move blood, turn butterflies from their flight, shed petals from flowers, tell times by dandelion and tickle baby tums. Stop. Suddenly. Start. Suddenly. Thank you. This next one is called Maybe and Glendower, who are, I suppose you'd call them a Welsh terrorist group, because they burn holiday homes. And although being part Cornish, you could now call it, for me, they could be called Maybe and Kerno. I have an emotional connection with their work, not a support of what they actually do. Through the trees it shines beacon-like, announcing its presence as the security lights blaze. A Victorian factory destroying the city night, the lights bouncing off the locked 4x4s, glistening tanks, a private occupation. Within, coffee tables plied with unread coffee table books. A £1,000 coffee machine sits in a £1 million kitchen unhissing, and a covered pool doesn't even reflect the moon as she creeps uninvited indoors onto chrome mirrors. Glistening tanks, a private occupation. Renamed, reformed, everything that could be redone. Heating centralised, windows tripled, lifestyled, magazined, glossed. Neat piles of wood designed, decorative, stripped of all functions. Ash, hearth, fire, all gone. Unseen clocks project passing holiday time onto empty walls. White, of course. Chrome enclosed. Glistening tanks, a private occupation. Through the trees, silver figures move or stand and gaze, remembering babies carried over, babies being born, fires lit, hearts raked, meals cooked and shared, creatures seeking shelter, pencil marks on walls as children grew, hearing laughter, yes, and weeping, a public occupation. For this was home to Mum and Dad, and all lines upwards on the family tree, going up names carefully written in the family Bible, and children bursting out the doors, growing out of the tiny place, returning later with children of their own. Until the private occupation. Among the ghosts he stands, eyes screwed shut, remembering his bedroom and the tiny paraffin heater in the winter. Now a flat 33C, 10th floor block H, where the council paid his rent once. His senses fill with memory, love, and heartbreak, and the smell of petrol in the can he holds. Thank you. This next one has two titles. For those of us of a certain age, it's called Answering Machine. For anybody younger than us, it's called Voicemail. You ring me, but the gap between us gets no smaller, but achingly with every word the distance grows. I ring you, and your voice is so far away that I begin to imagine that I'm imagining you. I ring you, and your voicemail asks me to call again later. I ring you. Later. You ring me. My voicemail. Later. Later, I ring you, you ring me. I ring you, 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 I ring you. And when we meet, we cannot speak because both of us are waiting for the tone. I currently work in a young offenders institute. And one of the shocks you get from when you go in, apart from the fact that everything is caged, is the fact that within this cage, within this dreadful place, and I use the term in its truest sense, birds sing. Nothing stops the joy of a thrush or a sparrow, even in the cage. How should it be that 1,000 birds should sing within this cage where troubled boys are kept and penned? How strange that birdsong sing fills the heavy silence, and yet the two perhaps are not estranged. The boys who flock and swoop and chatter, the birds that flock and swoop and chatter, but do it as they soar into a sky unencumbered by the bars that the boys can only dream through. The birds fly upwards past all boundaries, taking their song with them, leaving shouts to fill the silence. But they will return next day, bound by the same cages as the boys, almost as if weighed down by the boys' impossible dreams. And the birds and the boys will flock and swoop and chatter for another day, both looking upwards to the sky, weighed down by bars and dreams. And one of the things I get, and this I suppose almost has to do with tonight, is I'm asked by the boys to write them poems. It's a rather lovely thing to be asked to do, to write a poem. And I wrote this for one particular lad who was missing his daughter. He's 19. She's 2. And she hasn't seen Dad since she was 6 months old. Each night I tell a story, and I imagine that you are in your bed listening as the wind carries my story to you. Each night I say a prayer, and I imagine that you are by your bed to catch it as the wind carries my prayer to you. Each night I dream that you and I are playing and laughing, and I imagine that you are dreaming the same as the wind carries my dream to you. Very soon, you will be tucked up in bed, and I will be there too, to tell you those stories, to pray you those prayers, dream those dreams, because the wind has carried me to you. And my last one tonight is based on the fact that my wife at the moment is currently researching her entire family and has now discovered that she's related to half the world. Stunning. I keep saying to her, look, just find somebody in Italy, find somebody in America, and find somebody in the Far East, and we have 3 holidays because we can just go and say, hi, we're your cousins. Okay. And it reminds, it's brilliant because people go and people vanish. We hold them in our hearts, but these days we hold them somewhere else as well. This poem is called No One Dies.